So I'm going to do a talk too, but it will be much, it's not a keynote, it's a little bit shorter. My topic is applying a lens of inclusion on our maritime museum work. And I'm just going to launch right into it, and then when my presentation's concluded, there may be time for a question, or maybe not, we'll see, and then we'll have a break. So I'm just going to launch into this. And it will give you a little, I'll be touching on some local history in this talk, particularly about the Halifax Harbor explosion. And so here we go. As museum professionals and enthusiasts, we understand that museums play a crucial role in shaping our understanding of the world. However, we may not consider as much about how the stories we tell and how they are shared are heavily influenced by what we have done in the past. And what we have done in the past is linked to what we have previously researched, collected, and preserved. If you will, our work has largely been driven by the status quo. Presenting a story that sits outside of our institutional traditions can be challenging. In these instances, we may become more self-aware of the explicit and implicit practices of our museums, which have commonly been rooted in white male privilege and in systems of power and oppression. Let's see if I can. Did it change? Yep. Such was the case for us at the Maritime Museum of the Atlantic in 2017. This was 100 years after the devastating Halifax Harbor explosion. Our goal was to commemorate the anniversary, including a refresh of our permanent gallery dedicated to this story. This time, we wanted to tell the story with the application of a lens of inclusion and diversity. So here's just a little bit of background in case you're not familiar. In 1917, Halifax was a bustling seaport, the gateway to Canada and from Canada to the world. As it is today, the harbor was a working harbor. There were vessels of all kinds and all sizes. The waterfront was the location of shipyards, warehouses, and factories. Languages and cultures from all over the world could be seen and heard at the wharves. The waterfront was also where the Mi'kmaq community of Turtle Grove in Tufts Cove was located. And the waterfront was where one of the oldest African Nova Scotian communities developed. And you heard about Jerry talking about Africville. Not all African Nova Scotians lived in Africville, but that was one of the waterfront communities as well. Everything changed on December 6, 1917. SS Mont Blanc, a French cargo ship laden with high explosives, collided with the Norwegian vessel SS Emu in the Narrows. A fire on board the Mont Blanc led to a massive explosion that devastated the north end of Halifax. More than 1,600 people were killed by the blast, and an estimated 9,000 others were injured. The blast was the largest human-made explosion at the time, releasing the equivalent energy of roughly 2.9 kilotons of TNT. Nearly all structures within an 800-meter radius were obliterated. Scattered fragments of Mont Blanc were blasted for kilometers in all directions. And then a tsunami created by the blast wiped out the Mi'kmaq Turtle Grove community. Africville, though not a direct hit, still sustained severe damage and losses. The African Nova Scotian community in general sustained lots of losses. And yet, the original exhibition at the museum dedicated to this story made no mention of the Mi'kmaq community, which lost almost all its members. There were no references to the impacts There were no references to the impacts felt on the lives of African Nova Scotians, no reports of the losses of life from the community, and no recognition for the contributions of African Nova Scotians to the monumental relief effort that followed, such as Dr. Clement Ligor. So in 2017, 100 years later, we clearly recognized that we had shortcomings with our exhibition. We knew that we needed to do better. We understood that any attempt to refresh this defining exhibition of the Maritime Museum would only be relevant if a lens of inclusion were applied. Sounds straightforward, right? Just go to the research files, go to the collection, go get the oral histories, consult with the community historians, begin collaborative efforts of writing the untold stories of the Mi'kmaq, the African Nova Scotians, and all the other diverse communities which were impacted by this tragic event. We quickly felt the impact of decades of institutional bias, decades of oppression, and systems of power which had resulted in the creation of our single-story exhibition. Despite engaging community members in a more inclusive approach, the reality was, it was, in many ways, too little, too late. There were scarcely any artifacts, and inaccurate, if any, records were taken related to African Nova Scotian and Mi'kmaq people. Without the cultural assets, which is the heritage museums are mandated to preserve and make accessible, we felt a certain shame, a realization that our work as curators, our role as an institution that creates meaning, had played a substantial role in exclusionary practices. I think it's fair to say that we felt we had let our community down. So fast forward a few years, and equity, diversity, and inclusion are frequent conversations at museums and conferences, and in almost all sectors which engage with community. Why? Well, because it is relevant to the communities they serve. It is not surprising, especially if you look at the census reports. Currently, more than 1 in 5 Canadians are foreign-born. By 2036, it is projected that nearly 30% of Canada's population will be foreign-born. Africa ranked second, ahead of Europe, as a source continent of recent immigrants to Canada. And Asia, including the Middle East, remained the top source continent of recent immigrants. And nearly 5% of Canada's total population is Indigenous. So truly, our demographics have and continue to diversify quite rapidly. We feel it's time our museum changes too. We have become increasingly aware that being relevant to our community means getting to know our community, inviting them in, not just to see what we have, but to encourage and invite them to become part of the process of making meaning. We need to look inward. We need to become more aware of our biases and strive to understand how our practices have impacted who our museum is for, and how our biases have contributed to our failing in reflecting the diversity of our population and audiences. So now we are researching what we have done, what others have done. We're consulting with diverse stakeholders and doing our best to increase our knowledge on topics related to equity, diversity, and inclusion. We are developing a formal plan with guiding principles, goals, and objectives to help inform our work. Creating an EDI statement for the museum was an important first step, and you can see our statement on the screen. But changing our exhibits to support our diversity and inclusion goals will not happen quickly. We are challenged by the reality of having a small team and a very modest annual budget. However, like many museums, we've been placing a greater emphasis on experiential learning, which has dramatically advanced our inclusion efforts. We've engaged directly with communities and with community partners to co-develop programs and activities. One program which has garnered a lot of attention is called Building Boats, Changing Lives. And as the name suggests, the activity is boat building, and the intended outcome is to have a transformative impact on the lives of those who participate. I can tell you, it has also been a very transformative experience for the museum. So I'm going to conclude showing you a short video created by a talented intern last summer. I think the video captures a great example of how our museums can connect with diverse communities, even when our exhibitions are not yet as inclusive as they should be. In this video, you'll hear from young newcomers to Canada speaking about their shared maritime experience made possible by the museum working collaboratively with local partners. Let's see how this goes. Do I just click it again?
In July 2021, a group of curious and enthusiastic youth from the YMCA Centre for Immigrant Programs had the opportunity to build Bevan skiffs at the Maritime Museum of the Atlantic with the guidance of museum staff. After 3 days of learning and lots of hard work, the teams of youth built much more than 3 rowboats. They gained skills and confidence that will last a lifetime. This is Building Boats, Changing Lives.
This is our 3rd year doing the boat build. We're always very excited when we get invited back. It's a huge success every year. It's really popular. Everyone here today themselves and their family are new to Canada. So to be working on a boat, which we're in the Atlantic provinces, so this is a big part of the Atlantic culture. I think it for sure would create more of a sense of connection to the water and to the history here, and just being part of this opportunity, being around the museum, all of it. Like, it's definitely connecting them to where we live.
Hello everyone, my name is Ala, and today is the 2nd day of boat building, and I'm having so much fun. We all are having so much fun building boats. I met new people and they're really nice. I enjoy hammering and cutting the wood. I expected to be lonely and I'll do all the work by myself, but I actually met really nice people and they helped me do a lot of things.
Hello guys, my name is Yazan, and this is our 2nd day of the boat building. And today actually we're getting it almost done, and I can't wait till testing. I'm really enjoying doing it. It's great. So I'm getting to know everything, like a lot of new stuff.
I thought it was gonna be like complicated, hard, but nah, it's easy, it's fun. Once you get to know the basic, everything is smooth. If your group is not working together, you can never get far. So if the chemistry is not there, I don't think you're gonna get far.
2, 1, free on turtle! That means put on 3. 3, 2, 1, life is good!
So my favorite part was actually putting the seats on.
My favorite part is sanding to make it smooth.
My favorite part was when the boat was still upside down, and then when we got flipping, we see that it actually turned into a boat.
My favorite part was drilling and hammering.
My favorite part was learning how to use the tools.
We talked about those values at the very beginning, about courage, and curiosity, and respect, and trust. You guys, you used all those because you're all very courageous to come down here. You guys showed a lot of respect for each other and for everybody else. And the fact that you guys came here on time every morning showed that you respected the whole process. All the groups, they all bring to it the same type of energy and vitality and curiosity and passion. You guys challenged yourself. So you're doing things that you didn't feel comfortable doing with at the very beginning. But by the end of it, I saw that you guys took control.
It works!
It floats! arm hurts. I want to try it again. It was fun, but also tricky because of the pedal.
It was fun. It was very fun. I found it very amazing. Literally, the boat is actually floating.
I really enjoyed it. It's really fun and you should come and you will experience lots of fun stuff and meet new friends.
So that concludes my presentation. I think if there's time maybe for one question, if there's a question. Maybe you just want to have a break. We are entering a break, and it will go until 11:30. We'd like to start promptly at 11:30, so I actually ask if you are in your seats. You come in at about 11:25 and make sure you're in your seats. Howard is going to chair the next portion after our break, and so without further ado, enjoy your break.